Hi, everybody. I'm Tanishka, and I thought to share with you my insights on the approaching full moon in Capricorn, which is the sign of the father. This is happening on July the 3rd, and if you click the link below, you'll see the time exact for the full moon in your location. So Capricorn is the third and final earth sign. So this is about us really taking responsibility for the state of our physical lives, starting with our physical body. So it rules the musculoskeletal body. So this can be when, we might experience more aches and pains or stiffness in our joints or in our muscles. So a good time to tend to any sort of chronic health conditions, and they could flare up. This is also a time when our relationship with our father is highlighted, because Capricorn is the sign of external authority, and the first authority figure we usually encounter on our soul's journey is our dad. So you might find that, this also highlights the health of your inner father. So this is the archetypal good king. And we all need a good king on board, regardless of whether we're in a male or a female body. And the good king is one who has good self-worth, who knows our value and can set boundaries accordingly on our time and our energy. So if you're somebody that has trouble saying no, is always available to everybody, maybe, what would you say, can devalue your time by undercharging, or not asking for fair exchange for your skills and your energy and your expertise, then this is when it could sort of surface as an acute kind of tension in your life, to say, hey, you need to speak up on your own behalf. In my latest book, The Grail, I speak about how to develop the inner good father and how important that is. If we think about in fairy tales, it's the king that says to a prospective partner, if you want the hand of my daughter, then you're going to need to go and seek the dragon. In other words, this is not a physical dragon, but you're going to need to confront your saboteur, because if you don't, then you're going to be a liability to my daughter. And we need, all of us, regardless of whether particularly for women, need to develop the good king, because this is the part of us that protects our emotions, our sensitivities, our human frailty and vulnerabilities, by saying, by setting appropriate boundaries, and in my Creating Sacred Union and Partnerships, I share the story of Sheba and Solomon, and the riddle that Sheba poses to Solomon in order to, discern whether or not he can meet her as a king. And so, basically that story, I won't go into the whole story, but the three questions that she asks him is, how do you see me? How do you see yourself? And what do you want from me? In other words, if a man can't state his feelings and his intention, then he's not ready. He's not ready to enter into an intimate union. And so a woman who has established the queen within also needs to exert the inner king, which is the part that says, look, if you want my time, then and my presence, then you need to honor me. And so many women, we've been unfathered or underfathered, so it can be a real challenge to find that good king and to really assert our worth by setting appropriate boundaries. We see a lot of women giving themselves away very freely, on dating apps and things. So you might want to check out that book. either the Grail book or Creating Sacred Union and Partnerships. There's info in both of those, different info on the Good King. But Capricorn, it invites us to look at how we're structuring our time, because Capricorn is about the structures in our life, whether that's how we structure our time, how we structure our working day, how we structure our relationships. And it's a time to review those structures, whether or not they're scaffolding that supports and holds us and enables us to build something of long-standing value, our long-term goals and visions, or whether in fact we've outgrown those structures and they're starting to feel more like a jail. So this is a good time to review our structures and whether or not we've outgrown them, and also our commitments. This is the sign of commitment. Capricorn, those that have a lot of Capricorn in their natal charts, are often slow to make a commitment and really want to know where they stand first, and take commitment very, very seriously. This is the sign of responsibility. So transit through Capricorn can really bring up a review of where we're being under-responsible or irresponsible, and where we're being over-responsible for others, maybe picking up the slack because those closest to us aren't being responsible. And what is responsibility? It's our ability to respond appropriately, okay? And so the more that we identify how to respond appropriately, the more accountable we are, the more in our integrity we are. So, those that aren't responsible are usually those whose words and actions don't match. So they'll promise you the world like, Prince Charming or Princess Charming, but they won't follow through on their actions. So, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, Kronos, Father Time, hence those rings that represent the cycles of time around the planet of Saturn. So it's about, what do we learn from our transits, whether it's our annual birthday, our solar transit, or the planetary transits that initiate us through our different life stages, or the transits that are initiating us constantly. So this is an opportunity to embrace growth, embrace the opportunity to mature, on the understanding that the more we do that, the easier life gets, the less of a struggle it is, the less we want to run away in overwhelm and avoidance because we're dealing with stuff. So Capricorn can also bring up our relationship with how we feel about aging and time. So you might notice yourself getting anxious about time, particularly if you have a stellium of planets in Capricorn or your sun, moon, or ascendant. This full moon will be at 11 degrees in Capricorn, so you might like to see what you have around that or aspecting that. And this is a time to also, step up your discipline. Now, discipline is, a lot of people equate discipline with willpower, but, if we're imposing willpower, then we're going to evoke the inner rebel. Okay, so this doesn't work. The good father is very much about restorative justice rather than punitive. So it's that positive, encouraging coach of a voice inside that really emphasizes all the benefits of why we should do something, rather than, the sort of the inner critic that has that critical, punitive voice that says, you're bad if you don't do this, because that just sort of creates inner resentment and resistance. This is also the sign of conservatism, of tradition. So, you might find that you bump up against that in some way, whether it's the system and the rigidity of the system of bureaucracy, and those in governance, especially at a time when they are seeking to assert a totalitarian regime on a global scale. So ways that you can resist that is, for instance, by using cash at the moment to slow down the introduction of the social credit system, which is already in use in communist China, and they're trying to roll out globally, thanks to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, trying to track everybody and punish those that don't comply. So this is a time where it will highlight our ambitions and our level of industry, our ability to, work to achieve our goals. And that does take commitment. It takes consistency, regularly showing up and doing what needs to be done bit by bit to move us towards our goals, so that they're not just a wish, but, we're making them happen through showing up and putting in the effort. The shadow of Capricorn is that it can be quite cold and aloof, being a distant, outer, slow-moving planet. It can be dictatorial, bossy, and one that, is not emotional, very sort of hard, calculating. So the way to sort of soften the shadow of Capricorn is to bring in a healthy balance of the opposite, which is the sign of Cancer. And the sun is moving through Cancer. We always have sun and moon in opposite signs at full moon. And this full moon, the sun will be in Cancer, already in Cancer. And Cancer is about inner authority, which is our intuition. So the more we attune to what we sense, what we feel to do, which we connect with our intuition through our heart, which is our feeling function, because it literally comes in from the quantum field of infinite intelligence down through the crown. And it's like it strikes the bell within the heart and it resonates as true, it rings true. So taking time to just go within, to feel into what feels true for us and letting our feelings be our guide. This is the way to navigate this month, so that, we are aligning with our highest destiny, with the path of a heart, the path with a heart. In other words, if we follow the heart, then we will be moving towards our most expansive, our most happy and joyful and loving outcome in all areas of our life. So that's really the invitation, and it's a time to really savor the fruits of community, to be resourceful with what we have, to really exercise self-care, and honor our feelings rather than shame them. This is a time when we're likely to want to seek out some home comfort, maybe comfort meals, cooking, have people around for dinner. And it's a really lovely time for communications with loved ones, and particularly your family. It's a great time for extending the olive branch. We have the sun and the planet of communication, Mercury, in the sign of Cancer. So if there's someone in your family unit that you've been estranged from, this is a really good time to reach out and reconnect, on the understanding that when those relationships are fractured, it does obstruct the flow of life force, and that impacts our health, our abundance, and our intimate relationships. I started reading synchronistically when the sun moved into Cancer, a wonderful book called It Didn't Start With You, which is about healing intergenerational trauma. So I highly recommend that read. And we also still have Venus and Mars conjunct in Leo, the sign of sacred leadership and romance, and grand gestures of the heart. So they're also conjunct Athena, who is, the part of us that's on a mission to bring our light into the world. So this can be a time of beloveds coming together and sharing their vision, on the understanding that is the role of beloveds, to come together, serving the one vision, on the understanding that we need both feminine and masculine to create together in union, whether that's it doesn't really matter what the physicality is, but those energy polarities of feminine and masculine working together harmonically to create something for the greater good. And when they come together, we see the soul monad, the group of 12 coming together. And I really am witnessing that in my life and feeling this is something which many of you will be resonating with, that it is time to create the new earth, and that there are auspicious meetings, particularly being ushered in by that recent solstice portal. So that's my shout out for this full moon. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, you're welcome to share it with family and friends. Keep an eye out if you're in the UK. I just got word that I'll be presenting at All About Love festival, as well as Into the Wild. So I'm looking forward to connecting with those of you there. And also at Love Supreme, I'll be doing some readings, and all of my free UK tour events on the whirlingrainbowtour.com. If you want to find out about my retreats, then do subscribe to my free email list, and would love to share a retreat with you and do a deep dive. Ciao for now, and thanks so much for watching.